everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jocelyn and today I'm going to be attempting to bake a cherry cobbler. I've never made a cobbler before. In fact, I haven't even made many pies on my own before, but I'm having a picnic with my family over the weekend and I let Joey decide what dessert we bring. And he chose the Bloodbath cobbler from this Nightmare Before Dinner cookbook that we have. And I agreed because when he read the directions to me, it did not sound terribly difficult. However, I just read the first step to make the crust, which is the first thing you're supposed to do. And you're supposed to have a food processor. So then here's the other thing. I was going to borrow a food processor because you also need a food processor for the filling. However, for the filling, you just have to food process an orange. But for the first step and for the entirety of making the crust, you are supposed to put the ingredients in a food processor. And I do not have one because I decided not to borrow one.
Take a minute. Take it in.
I'm already at odds with this recipe. It's 7 o'clock at night and it's supposed to start storming anytime soon and I'd rather not leave my house. So I'm just gonna make it from a food processor. Is that wrong? I don't know anything about cobbler. You tell me. But regardless, I'm gonna try it. So thank you for joining me in this adventure and hopefully we end up with a cobbler. So to make this crust, you need a food processor, which I do not have, so we're going to use just a bowl. All-purpose flour, raw sugar, sea salt, a stick of butter, an egg yolk, some vanilla extract, and cold water. The first step is to do essentially the dry ingredients in the food processor, and then you're supposed to add the butter. Everything else I can just mix together. But like, how do you fix the butter situation? This will not help in our butter endeavors, but I'm getting out the bee spoon.
Pesky bee.
1 1/4 cups of flour. Flour. 1/3 cup of sugar. There's a hair in my mouth. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Let's just pretend I'm a food processor. What if I try to chop up the butter in a separate bowl by itself first and then add it in here and then try to mix it that way? So I'm just gonna try to actually like cut the butter into this with the butter knife. Alright, well, it's officially started raining, and I think I cut the butter into the dry ingredients the best I could. So in this bowl we need the egg yolk, cold water, and vanilla. Egg yolk. Small whisk. Okay, so this is where the recipe kind of loses me a little bit. It says to puree it until a dough starts to form. Be careful not to overmix it. Now obviously I don't have a food processor, I'm chopping this up by hand.
We know! Shut your mouth already!
This is starting to feel doughy. It's really sticking together. I don't want to overmix it, so like, does this count? Question number 1. Question number 2, it tells you to then transfer the dough onto a flat work surface, form it into a ball, and then squish it down, and then you wrap it up and you put it in the fridge for like 40 minutes. The thing is,
when you go to assemble the actual cobbler, it says to place 2 strips of dough into the bottom of your pan, and then the reserved dough crumbles. So then the thing is that when you remove this from the fridge and you roll it out, it says to cut the dough into 3 to 5 strips and reserve any dough crumbles. What the heck does that mean? This is dough crumbles. This is all this is. And then when you go to actually build the cobbler, it tells you to put 2 strips of dough down and the reserved dough crumbles, and then put the rest of the strips of dough on top. How much am I supposed to take out? It's not telling you to take anything out. It's just saying reserve any extra. Well, how? Like, where do you get extra from if you're just supposed to form it into a big dough ball?
That doesn't make any sense.
and then what I'm gonna do is just try to form this into a ball, wrap it up, put it in the fridge.
Ball?
I threw this in the fridge and then ate dinner. And now I'm back to deal with this and hopefully finish this freaking cobbler. So our next step is to roll this out. This is also the part where it says to reserve any dough crumbles. But like, again, it's dough now. So like, where are you getting crumbles from? Should I not be doing this on a surface that rolled? Perhaps the 40 minutes was just too long. It said 25 to 40. That's such like a huge range of time, you know? It's syrup time. So the first thing that I need to do is peel and puree this orange. As stated many times in this video, I do not have a food processor.
Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!
I have this mini blender, this little smoothie blender. I don't even know if it's charged, honestly, but I'm gonna try this. Now juices have orange. Huh? Oranges have juice. I am a little paranoid, so I'm just gonna use like a tablespoon or two of water.
Long ago in a distant land.
Oranges have juice. We're supposed to put 2 cups of water in here later, so I think I'll just take out 2 tablespoons from our 2 cups. I'd say that worked. It's time to make the filling of our cobbler. All right, our first step is to add this 12 ounces of dark pitted cherries.
She's really good.
We also need a 1/4 cup of agave nectar. Where the heck is my spatula? Now this is going to heat on medium-low heat for 5 minutes. Add our orange puree. Ooh. We're going to increase the heat and cook it for another 5 to 7 minutes. Tell me that's a seed, I'm gonna freak out.
So what I'm gonna do now is freak the freak out.
I think that's a seed. It said to check for seeds, but how do you check for seeds? Problem is, if there were seeds in there, they are certainly all chopped up now. I'm going to add the water and the sugar, and then you cook it for another 15 minutes, and you're trying to get it to create like a corn syrup consistency. Why is a 1/4 teaspoon of salt listed when it never once tells you to add salt to this filling? Am I dumb? Yeah! So, it's been 15 minutes. I've read these instructions like 10 more times. There's still no mention of where the salt is supposed to go in. My syrup is not really syruping. The tip that they give is to increase the heat and cook it a little more. So I'm going to increase the heat a little bit and then cook it for maybe like 5 more minutes and see if that helps. This recipe is really kicking my butt because I was reading ahead just to like confirm I knew what I was doing next, and it says to place the dough in the prepared dish. But I would like to point out that it never once tells you anywhere in this recipe what size dish, what type of dish.
My favorite dish. I like mugs.
And if you're supposed to like butter or oil the dish first. Now my instinct is no, because our dough is mostly butter, but also we're putting berries in it and I don't know if it's going to stick and like bake the pan. Like it doesn't.
Are these just things that people know if you're already like a baker or like a chef? You just kind of like know what you should or shouldn't do? Because I'm an amateur and I don't know these things. And I understand that this is a fancy cookbook from a fancy restaurant in the city.
However,
if you're going to be writing a book for people to purchase at home, for anyone to just purchase at home, I just think you should be writing it to the lowest common denominator, right? And like, in this instance,
that is me.
I am the lowest common denominator. I don't know what I'm doing. We're almost at the end of our 5 extra minutes. It's still not syrupy. It's the same consistency that it was before. I did add about half of what the recipe asked for in salt. They seem to just want me to make things up now, so I'm just gonna do that. It's now starting to bubble, so I'm gonna cook it for another 5 minutes. It has genuinely been like half an hour. Does this look like syrup to you?
No!
Because that's not like any syrup I've ever seen. If you've ever made a cobbler before, please tell me what I did wrong. I'm so confused, honestly. That's not a syrup. I don't think this dish is big enough, but I was kind of dumb and I cut my strips and then I put this all back in the fridge because I didn't want it to get too melty. And then here are my dough crumbles. I essentially rolled out that monstrosity that you saw, cut out a square, took the edges, crumbled them up in this bowl, and then cut that square into strips and then threw everything in the fridge. It says to put 2 strips in the bottom of your pan. Well, my strips are longer than my pan, so I kind of broke them in half. Also, they're cold, so they don't really come off of here real well. And then it says to put your dough crumbles. This is a lot of dough crumbles. Place 2 strips of dough and some of the reserved dough crumbles in the bottom of the prepared dish. But nowhere else does it tell you to use dough crumbles. So if I'm only using some of them in the bottom of this dish, where the heck are the rest of them going?
I would assume the top, but I have 3 strips left. Why does it tell you 3 to 5 strips? That doesn't mean anything.
I think this cobbler is legitimately going to defeat me. I'm done. Place some of my dough crumbles. That is not syrup. Maybe I should like spoon it in there instead. This is what ladles are for, right? Alright, here goes nothing. You can tell these cherries are absolutely demolished from cooking in this, but this is not syrup. This is dumb.
To live life, you need problems.
That's so stupid.
Cobbler's dumb. Just eat pie. Or, you know what's even easier? Cake. Well, you're supposed to layer the rest of the dough on top, but it's just gonna like disintegrate into this, isn't it? I can't even get it off the freaking board. I've made some poor decisions. I think this legitimately might be the most infuriating recipe I've ever tried to make. Alright, well it doesn't say to, but what am I going to do with the rest of this? So here are the rest of my dough crumbles. Alright, it says to bake this uncovered for 6 minutes, then reduce the temperature and bake it for another 24 minutes. If you don't cook, I will never forgive you.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
I have zero hope for this, and I'm scared to even open up this oven right now. Is this what cobbler's supposed to look like? There's literally no picture in the book, and I don't think I've ever actually seen a cobbler and known it was a cobbler. What is this? Did I just make soup? Soup with some weird little doughy bits?
Ew.
Is this even baked? How do I know? I don't know what I've done. Also, I forgot I had this candle lit. I'm doing well. Do you think it looks like it's gelled? You have a knife in your hand? I don't think you need a knife.
So, yeah, it's still kind of soupy. This top is gelatinizing, like, you know, forming like a syrup in a way, like hardening in a sense.
Okay.
That is just juice underneath.
Why are you laughing at my cobbler?
I mean, it doesn't taste bad. It tastes pretty good.
Joey. I think this is the worst thing I've ever baked.
I think...
Like, it might taste okay, it might be edible, but like, this is the worst thing I've ever baked.
Yeah.
I truly don't think I've ever struggled so much to bake a dessert before in my life, especially with instructions. This book is dumb.
Well, I think because it tastes good, it's just something that we could reiterate sometime.
Fine, but you're in charge of making the syrup. I made juice. Thank you for taste testing my monstrosity.
Yeah.
I ate the... what is it? I ate the cherry cobbler at my family picnic, and it was pretty good. For all of the trouble I went through, It tasted pretty good. I just never want to do that again. I did tell Joey I was never going to make a cobbler again. However, I think now I'm at the point where I'm never really interested in making this cobbler again. At least not on my own in the middle of the night. But since I didn't actually get to try this on camera yet, I thought I would just give you a little bit of a review. And I added some chocolate chips this time. Chocolate never hurts anything. The dough, I was really concerned about. It also came out fine. And even though the cherries never syruped, like they were supposed to syrup, having it cool down and be in the fridge really kind of gelled it together. Even though it looked horrible, it kind of ended up being, I think, the correct consistency in the end. I just don't know, still to this day, what I did wrong when making it. At the end of the day, it's fruit, it's sugar, it's dough, and then it's vanilla ice cream. So, like, you can't really go wrong with this, even if you mess it up, as long as everything's, like, cooked, you know? All I can say is that this was named correctly because this was, in fact, a bit of a bloodbath cobbler. That's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me in this very hellish adventure. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. You can also leave me a comment on how you think I did. If you have any baking tips, I will take them. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you can stay tuned with whatever pops up on this channel next. I obviously bake, but I also paint and vlog sometimes and do a little bit of gaming. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date with whatever I do next. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!